Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about 13 Ghosts, the 2001 remake. So I really love this movie. It is a remake of the 1960 movie, also titled 13 Ghosts by William Castle. I've never seen that movie, but it does follow similar to that of the remake, but it's also completely different at the same time. It's basically a house with like 12 ghosts and everything. And so like the remake, it was one of the first horror movies I ever saw. I'll never forget this day. I was in college, I was in my dorm, the RA decided they're gonna do something cool for Halloween with the rest of the tenants and stuff. And so we got to watch two movies out in the little courtyard thing. And it was 13 Ghosts and Don't Say a Word. And I love both those movies. And we had like a pumpkin carving contest, which was my first time carving a pumpkin. I've never done that before. And I won. I carved a pumpkin in the face of the Scream Killer, Ghostface and everything. And so the reward was like a Blockbuster, not coupon, but gift card and everything. So I went out to like Best Buy. I bought a bunch of stuff. I bought it on VHS because I didn't have a DVD player at that time. And I got a couple of stuff. I can't remember what I bought, but I bought it. I think I bought so that one really stupid slasher movie I told you about with Joey Lawrence. I can't remember the name of it. It's that stupid. But yes, I really enjoyed 13 Ghosts. I think the visuals are amazing. It's directed by Shane Beck. And he mostly did like visual direction type stuff in other projects. And this was his first movie directing. He also directed another movie, and that was the last movie he ever directed. Because sadly, 13 Ghosts flopped big time. It just, critics hated it, and it did not make the budget back. It barely made anything back. It had like a budget of like 40 million. It only made like 65 million and stuff. It's quite a shame. A lot of people say the reason why it flopped because it just wasn't scary enough. There wasn't no gore. Okay, yeah, I'll give them that. Because when think about these ghosts don't look like your typical ghost. Normally, when you see a ghost, they're like you can see through them. They look human, or they're like glowing, or something like that. These ghosts look monstrous and they look solid. So you think they will get some good kills in, but only like not that many people die in like this movie, and so there's not much blood, there's not much gore. When they do show it, it is gruesome and it is glory, but people want it more. But I beg to differ in terms of it not being scary. You literally feel terrified for these people's lives inside the house, because when you look at the way these ghosts look, and if they can get their hands on them, you know they're in trouble and stuff. Now, the thing when I say look monstrous, see, the first ghost we see looks like a monster. That's only because he's like a giant, he has gray skin, and he has like all these bullet holes in his face. He looks monstrous. Then we see another one with a baseball bat. Half his face is burnt and ripped off. He looks monstrous. There's a naked lady who has slashes all over her body. But for the most part, everybody looks human, just like a grotesque looking human. Then there's a guy named the Hammer. He has these giant nails driven in his body, and he has a giant hammer for a hand. But for the most part, everybody looks human, just like a grotesque human. There is the Jackal, who is gray and has like a metal cage around his head. There is the bound woman, whose body is bound in like ropes and stuff like that, and she does this weird jiggling type thing, but she's spazzing out. There is the torso. It's literally a torso wrapped in like mummified, like plastic looking saran wrap, and the head is missing and stuff. Like, they visually look amazing. Robert Zemeckis is one of the producers on this movie, and it stars that of Matthew Lillard, Sharon Elizabeth, Tony Shalhoub, what's her name? Mbeth Davids, who was in Army of Darkness, and Raja Fisher, who is best known as the rapper Ra. And I have to give it up for her. For a rapper, she did a pretty good job at acting. Like, she felt very genuine and everything. And there's also a little boy in this. I forget his name. Um, and also, what's his name? F. Murphy Abraham is also in this movie. So it had some star power to it. But sadly, it did flop. I'll say this here and now, Matthew Lillard is like literally the best thing of this movie. Matthew Lillard, I can't get tongue tied. Lillard, the dude carries the whole movie on his shoulders, man. He is a comedic genius when it comes to this movie. You will always laugh when you see him on screen. He is the selling point of this movie. He is the main star of this movie. He carried the thing on his back. His back is broken from carrying this movie and stuff. Like, every scene he's in is great. This was a time when he was trying to get away from that of Stu Walker and everything. But it did not help. But it helped when he went to Scooby-Doo. Now people see him as Shaggy. But people don't even see him as that anymore. And so, like, yeah, it's like this movie, I think, was just like amazing, but sadly, it did not do it for people. Now, the house in which they live in is gorgeous and everything. It's a glass house. The outside has, well, the outside is funny. The outside of the house is all CGI. Now, the house is boarded up with these metal wooden panels, and then there's glass. But when you go inside, it's nothing but glass, wall to walls, ceiling and floor. It is visually stunning and everything. I've never seen a house like this. I always wanted to live in this house and stuff. And written on the walls of the glass is Latin and everything, this foreign language. These are protection barrier spells. Basically, ghosts cannot pass through the protection barrier once these spells are up and stuff. And inside the house is all this stuff that the main person has collected. Ironically, the Highlander television sword makes an appearance in this movie. Nobody knows why. Even the movie Highlander sword, the remodeled version with some like other like paint on it and to give it more like a green pinkish flair to it, that makes an appearance in this movie, and nobody knows why. And stuff. And normally I get like irritated when there's remakes, but I love this remake. Maybe because I didn't know it was a remake at first and I never saw the original, but this movie is just stellar. If only there was more people dying in it, it would have been like better and stuff. And also, like, normally I hate when horror movies or slasher movies have like flashing lights to show a person dying. It makes no sense, but it makes perfect sense for this movie, especially how you can't see the ghost unless you're wearing these special goggles. Now, one thing I've noticed about people in general when it comes to fans of any genre is that they say they're tired of remakes. They want something fresh. They want something new. They want it to be different from the original. Well, guess what? This is even though it's a remake, it's original and stuff. It is fresh. It is different. It looks different. It feels different. And yet people still are not happy. So what do people want? This is why making movies and remakes are frustrating, because people don't know what they want. However, in the time since this flop, 21 years ago, people are starting to get more and more into this movie now. And everything. It's starting to have that of a cult following, thank God. Now, this did come out on DVD. When I was listening to the DVD and everything, the black dude who plays the hammer, apparently the director said that they had to get two people to film this because the first actor, something happened. He just walked off set and never came back. Maybe he was too disturbed and everything. Or maybe he didn't like having to sit in the makeup chair for hours and hours and hours and stuff. So they had to get like a new person and stuff. You kind of can't tell. And then now it's been released on Blu-ray. And there are more interviews from the cast and crew, and there are new audio commentary. I'm thinking about getting the Blu-ray. I've been having a DVD for years and stuff, and I enjoy the DVD and I enjoy the cases. And but it's kind of like I want to kind of hear these new commentary and new interviews and stuff. I don't think there's no additional footage. I don't believe. Now, one thing that is interesting about the DVD is that it tells a backstory into all the 12 ghosts and everything. I love the backstories. They're very intriguing. You could literally make a spin-off movie off every backstory of these ghosts. And it's sadly that they didn't. It's because the movie flopped, so there was nothing else going forward and everything. And it's quite a shame because, like I said before, their backstories are very interesting. Now, if they would have added the backstory to that of the movie, would had it worked? Would it have been like better, something to sink your teeth into? I think so. I think if they would have just, how they say you're supposed to show, don't tell. I think it would have been better if they told. Even if they would have showed a little bit, it would have been better too. Yeah, I like it. They should have like showed it and told it. I think it would have had more gravitas to that of the characters. Because one thing this movie does lack is that of characters and stuff. Character like backgrounds, character like backstories, depth. You know what I'm saying? Like you get what you see and everything from these characters. But the things that's given to us by the main characters, you can get around that. You don't need like a huge backstory because they give you a little bit into their backstory when it comes to that. The father, Arthur Criticos and everything. They give you what happened to him and why he is the way he is. But that's really the only true real backstory we really ever get. Everybody else is just what you see is what you get. But that's how horror movies are. You're not going to have this explanation of huge backstory with every character. But I think they should have gave a backstory in the movie of all the ghosts. That would have made it more appealing to people. But it is on a DVD, so you can watch it there. But it's a special feature. I just think it should have been added, And so, like, besides the way that, because when they do kill people in this movie, like I said, they really go all out and kill these people, and it's cool. But you got to give it up to the makeup department. These ghosts look amazing. Every single last character and stuff. And so, what this movie is about is it sets up something very beautiful. The backstory of why the family is the way they are. You see them out playing outside. You see the husband and the wife. They're loving each other. It's the nice music. You hear like voices of like the family. Then it starts to go dark and everything. We see the tragic. We see like a fire and everything. We hear like the ambulance and everything. It goes from these beautiful pictures to everything looking burnt and stuff. What happened was there was a house fire. A log caught fire in the house, and it burnt everything down around Christmas time. The family lost their mother. She died in the fire. The family lost their home, their house. They had lived in a cramped up little apartment. Arthur Criticos is a teacher. He's very poor. He has to struggle. His older daughter, which they don't say exactly how old she is, she's either a teenager or an adult. She can't go to college. She has to help out. She has to cook food. She's not a good cook. They have a young son named Bobby who's obsessed with dead stuff. Like this boy has an unhealthy lifestyle of being obsessed with dead stuff. And they have a nanny named Nagy and everything, played by rapper Raja, or Raw, I guess you call her. And so like the nanny is like a typical nanny. She's very lazy, like a sitcom nanny and stuff. And she doesn't like, she bickers a little bit with like the daughter, but not much. And she loves Bobby to death, but she's very bad at her job and stuff. And so in comes a lawyer, and he's all like, well, actually, let me get into like the real first scenes of the movie. This is just like the second part that sets up the tragic backstory of the family. The first scene we see Cyrus Criticos, this very ruthless businessman type person, and he's out with Dennis. Dennis is a man who has like these type of seizures, and he can see into, like, if he walks into a room where people have died, he can see how they died. If he touches a person, he can see their life force energy like goes through like his mind. He can see like what they're hiding and stuff, or how that person's gonna die or whatever. And so like he's very disturbed by this mentally and stuff. He has to take medication. Cyrus hires him because he needs him to find these like 12 ghosts and stuff. And so he doesn't want to do it no more. He said, this is it. This is done. The 12th one will be the last and everything. And so when they're in the junkyard with all these people, he's getting some bad vibes. Like, this person who lived in the junkyard has killed multiple people and stuff. And so like they have to bait the ghost to come out. So they use like a tank full of blood, spraying it on all the cars and everything. They get interrupted by Kalia and her husband Damon, or boyfriend or whatever. And they saying what you're doing is wrong, capturing these dead spirits and all this other stuff and all this other crap. And they mentioned something about a 13 ghost, and Dennis is kind of like, what the world are you talking about, dude? Like, you never said 13 ghosts and stuff. Well, all the crazy stuff starts happening right before Dennis touches Cyrus, and he sees like a weird machine, and he sees a weird house, and he sees tons of money. And so like, cause Cyrus has bled his money dry, he squandered the family fortune and stuff. And so all the craziness happens, and we see flashes and flickerings of the ghosts coming in, murdering people in very gruesome ways, man. A man's body gets like snapped back and crushed inside like a car. Like, it's crazy and stuff. And so they capture the ghost in like a cube of glass, the type of glass that's made from the house with the magical barriers on it. Next thing you know, Damon is dead. And then so when Dennis is looking for Cyrus has a huge metal like shrapnel wedged inside his throat, and there's blood everywhere. He is dead. And so then, like I said, we get to the family. The lawyer shows up. He takes them to the house. Like, Arthur's all like, this house is amazing, but he doesn't have money to pay for taxes and stuff like that. The family is very amazed by the house. They're splitting up. They're going into different rooms. And like, you know, Maggie and Bobby are like in one room. Bobby's running around amazed by everything. He gets lost. And so we see Shannon Elizabeth character, Kathy, she's in the like bedroom, and she's loving it because she has to share like a room, I guess, like with Bobby and stuff. And she has to also share like a bathroom. She hates that, so she's in the bathroom. The bathroom is one of the like most disturbing parts. Everything looks normal when you look at it, but then when you see everything through the lens of those special glasses, there's blood everywhere from that of the angry princess. I don't understand why it shows that. The glasses are only supposed to show ghosts. I don't know why it's showing this. Maybe she killed people in the room or something like that. I don't know. But it's disturbing and I like it. So Dennis is there pretending to be like the power guy. So he can get inside the house. He wants to get into the basement with all like the money. He's looking for that. When he's down in the basement, he's freaking out, getting seizures because he's sensing all the ghosts down there, and he did not know Cyrus had ghosts down in the basement. He doesn't understand why, and it's freaking and scaring him out. So he's like, you know, running and screaming. And so he tells Arthur, like, you know, we have to get out this house. There's ghosts everywhere in the basement, blah, blah, blah. The lawyer doesn't want to hear it. And so he touches Arthur, and he gets all these freaky flashbacks of like Arthur's wife dying in the fire. When he comes to, the lawyer is gone. The lawyer went down in the basement to get the money and everything. He knows what's up. But then all of a sudden, once everybody's in the house starts to activate. We see all these levers and gears and everything moving. We see glass panels moving around. The ghosts are being released one by one. As he's mocking some of the ghosts, he realizes that the door is opening, and the angry princess, who's completely butt naked, is coming towards him and stuff. He freaks out. And when two of the glass doors are sliding, they slice him in half. Long time ago, I used to be able to see this scene, but I can't see it no more. It's too gross and nasty. His body, the front part slowly slides down. You see the back part stuck to it. Then you see the back part sliding down too. It is nasty. And, So Arthur finds that of Kathy and that of Maggie. Bobby is lost. Bobby goes down in the basement. He has the glasses on. He sees like some ghosts. The jackal is chasing. No, I don't even know if the jackal. No, it's the torso and it's the bound woman scaring a piss out of him and everything. Then he sees Arthur Criticos and there, not Arthur, but Cyrus, and somebody grabs him and he's screaming and he's hollering. When they find the tape recorder, because he likes to record activities of death that he hears about in newspapers, they go looking for him. Dennis does not want to stay in that house. He's all like, yo man, I'm splitting all out of here and everything. They can't even break the glass of the house. It's like shatterproof and stuff. So Dennis agrees to help them and everything, even though he doesn't want to. They split up. It's Maggie is Dennis. Maggie doesn't believe in no ghosts because she can't see anything. Then they finally see one and he's all like, ha, see, I proved it to you. And then so she's freaking out, but he can't see him because he doesn't have the glasses. So when he puts the glasses on, that's when the hammer like smashes the glass. Every time these ghosts hit the glass, it sparks, with sparks and everything. And he said he hates this. They wait until you put your face up against the glass and then they scare you and everything. So as she's trying to get him to leave, he can see a premonition of his own death. It is gruesome and everything. His body literally gets snapped in two by the juggernaut. And so like he doesn't understand. Like he's never really been able to see his own death and it's freaking him out even more. So at some point, Kathy and Arthur, they're in one room and he doesn't believe in ghosts, but then she puts on the glasses and boom, the jackal is after her. It grabs her, it races her through the floor, up against like the wall. It looks like she's glued to the wall, shaking and screaming. He's ripping her clothes off like with his bare hands. And then a woman comes in with a flare. And she scares the ghost away. See, she has something called a quicksilver flare. It scares like the ghosts and everything. And she uses it to repel the ghosts. It is Kalina from the beginning of the movie. She has like the book of like the dead. And, she's explaining to Cyrus what this house is and who Cyrus Criticos is and everything. She explains to him and everything after they find Dennis and Maggie that this house isn't an ordinary house. It's a house created by like the devil. Basically, a man named Cecilius, when he was under demonic possession, read a passage and understood like what this house needed to like, create its like portal into like the underworld, all this other crazy crap. Basically, it has to have 12 ghosts and it has to feed off the ghosts, and that's what the house is doing. And it makes the person like powerful and all this other crap. They explain it, they don't show it. It probably would have been better. They would have went into more detail, but hey, whatever. I mean, it's the same thing like the Evil Dead. We heard about like all the bad stuff that happened in the past, but we didn't actually get to see it. So it's okay. Arthur doesn't want to believe all this. Maggie's just kind of like, screw you people and stuff. And Dennis is kind of like, but what about the 13th ghost? And she's all like, that doesn't exist, but it's like a fail-safe. Basically, the house feeds off the dead, but it needs like a living sacrifice of love to like, stop all like the evil and blah, blah, crap like that. And so she knows a lot about these 12 ghosts, and she blames Dennis for helping Cyrus capture them all. And he tells him that, he's a freak and like, he needed money for meds but Cyrus didn't necessarily pay him. That's why he went to go steal it. But then she tells Arthur to ask Dennis about like the fourth ghost, because Arthur's like, is defending Dennis and stuff. Well, Dennis doesn't want to say, but the fourth ghost is Arthur's wife and everything, the widowed lover and everything. This pisses off Arthur. He hates now Dennis. But, Kalina's all like, I can blow this house up and everything, and I can help you find the kids and blah, 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 blah. So him and Dennis, they go searching through the house with like a glass panel as like a shield. It works until the hammer gets loose. And then so Dennis decides, you know what? He's gonna save Arthur by putting him in like a crawl space and connecting the glass panel to the other part, so Arthur can't get out. And so he realized he can dodge the hammer and everything, so he won't have to die. But then the Juggernaut gets loose, and when the Juggernaut gets loose, that's when he know he's screwed. He gets beaten up by the hammer. The Juggernaut picks him up and kills him. It literally takes his body, it puts it on like, the corner of the walls, and it like breaks him in half. Arthur is upset about this. And at one point we see Maggie and we see Kalina. They're at the machine trying to destroy the machine and everything. But Cyrus Critical shows up and the flare is not working on him. It turns out when we start seeing that look in Kalina's eyes that something's happening. He is alive. She is working for him. She reveals she killed her husband. She kidnapped the kids and everything. Oh, because Kathy ended up being kidnapped as well. And, she made sure that Arthur didn't die and everything. And she starts acting like a sick, love-stricken puppy when it comes to that of Cyrus. And so he has her spells that's on like a little film and everything, and he's playing it. I love the music of this. The music is great. It's like a chant. You can listen to it for hours. Basically, once the spells are in place, all the 12 ghosts are sucked into the living room and everything. And so he betrays Kalina by smushing her between two things of glass. And then the kids pop out of nowhere in this weird metal rings and everything in the middle of the living room. Arthur sees this. He tries to get to him. He sees that of Cyrus. He sees that he is alive in the flesh, and he's beating the crap out of him until Cyrus, old as he is able to get like one up on the dude. And so like this is the kind of like a little bit of the climax, a little bit, but it's a little bit of a dull climax. Basically, he tells him, nephew, you are the 13 ghosts. You need to sacrifice yourself to get your kids out so he can be all powerful and unruly. But then Maggie wakes up and then she starts messing with the machine, hitting all the levers. It's starting to mess up. And when it messes up, the spell is turned off and all the ghosts were like around the ring and circle, getting the energy drained. But now that they're no longer doing that, they go after Cyrus. They pick him up in a gruesome, glorious type of way, and they throw him in the rings, and his body gets decapitated, cut and sliced and diced all up. As the machine is slowing down, Arthur makes his leap of faith and he jumps into the rings, safe. He tells his family to keep their head down. The machine tears completely up. They're safe and they leave the house. And Maggie spills about how she's done with babysitting and it's over. I like it. I think it's neat. I think it's new. I think it's fresh and innovative. You really don't see a movie like this and stuff where they combine like the supernatural and that of like a little bit of the sci-fi and everything. It's just visually stunning. But it would have been nice if they would have went into the backstory of like the ghost. Some of the backstory, like the Jackal. He was born of that. His mother was a prostitute. He was locked in an insane asylum. He went nuts. He started biting the crap out of people. So they had to put like a metal cage around like his face. And then the asylum burnt down and he died in the fire. He is my all-time favorite. His design is great. He's crazy. Why haven't they made a movie off this dude? My second favorite is the evil princess. She just looks great for obvious reasons, but also because she has this really demented, ghoulish, depressed looking look on her face. She really sells it and everything. The thing about her is that she was hot growing up, but she wanted to be hotter, and so she did all this plastic surgery to change her body. One day she tried to perform plastic surgery on herself. It went wrong and she was scarred. And so after that, she just started cutting herself until she died in the bathtub and everything. The bound woman was a girl who was really hot growing up, and so she flirted with like tons of guys, right? And so one dude who loved her was kind of pissed, kind of like, why are you flirting with this dude? So she broke his heart. He broke her body, her limbs, and bound her and stuff. What is it? The Hammer. He grew up in a time during racism and segregation. This white farmer thought he stole from him, so he killed the black dude's family. And then they like tied him up and started putting like nails in his body and stuff. Then they cut off his hand. The Juggernaut. He was just in an abusive type home. He became abusive when he was older, working in a junkyard. Um, Started killing people and everything. He started luring people to the junkyard and killing them and stuff. So the cops uploaded on him with their guns and stuff. And that's why he has all the bullet holes in him. The Angry Prince. He was a baseball player, a really good one at that, trying to get out of his like small town home, so he can make something of himself. Well, he did some drag racing, and in the race car, he died in like a fiery blaze and everything. Um, let's see, the firstborn son. He was growing up in a time where, a lot of cowboy shows were on TV and he played like cowboy and Native American. Well, a boy found an arrow, a real bow and arrow, and shot it at him and it went through his head. Trying to think of some other ones. The torso dude. He was a gambler growing up and everything. He couldn't resist but gambling. He started his own like gambling type place. And so when he had his bet on a fighter, his fighter like lost, and then this mobster fighter won. He came to collect. He didn't have the money. So they chopped off his head and wrapped his body up in saran wrap and threw it like in the river or something like that. Um the I think her name is the Pilgrimess. She was just a regular woman growing up, and then for whatever reason, they thought she was a witch, so they tried to kill her and everything. They tried to set her body on blaze, but it did not work. So then they put her in one of those like stocks, and everything where people threw stuff at her. She later died and tried to kill people, stuff like that. The dire mother, she was a dwarf growing up, and she was in one of those like carnival freak show type thing with her son. She I think she was assaulted, and that's when she had her son. And so people like ridiculed her, threw stuff at her. They killed her at some point, and this caused her son to grow up. Her son is obese and very tall. And when they started attacking his mom, he started killing people with two axes, just like mutilating people and stuff like that. He's very grotesque. He wears a diaper. He can't feed himself. He doesn't have much of an education. Um, of course, the widow woman, that's Arthur's wife. She died in like a fire and stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anybody I'm leaving out. I don't think so. I think I've covered everybody. And so that's like the backstory into that of the ghost. But like I said before, it's a really cool movie. Try to like watch it if you can find it. It just looks visually different. I just wish there was more horror in it like everybody else, you know what I'm saying? But whenever there is, because you do generally feel scared for these people. Because if these ghosts get their hands on them, that's it. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't that spooky. All right, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.